P proposed trade has Cowboys swap QB for $25 million ex-rival Pro Bowl RB. The Dallas Cowboys have a problem at running back, and the team also has a plethora of quarterbacks on the roster. One team in desperate need of help at quarterback is the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers also happen to have former Pro Bowl running back Miles Sanders deep on the team's depth chart. Dallas has a pair of signal callers in Cooper Rush and Trey Lance. Could Dallas explore a potential trade for one of these backup quarterbacks? Both players are slated to hit free agency in 2025. For the Panthers' purposes, the team would likely prefer to land Rush, who can play right way. Like Bryce Young, Lance looks to be more of a developmental player at this point in his career. Swapping Rush for Sanders makes some sense for Dallas. Sanders' 4-year, $25.4 million contract is slated to run through the 2026 season. The Panthers do have an out in Sanders' deal this offseason and can release the running back while taking a $2.9 million cap hit. Despite having a $7.6 million cap hit this season, Sanders has just 12 carries for 42 rushing yards through the first 2 games. Not exactly the usage rate that lives up to his $25 million contract. Cowboys QB Cooper Rush could be an upgrade for the Panthers over Andy Dalton. For now, Carolina is starting former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Andy Dalton. Rush could be an upgrade for the Panthers at the position. As for Sanders, a strong argument can be made that the former Pro Bowler would immediately be the best running back on the Cowboys roster. Sanders is coming off the worst statistical season of his career, posting 129 carries for 432 yards and a touchdown. It is worth noting that Sanders also had the lowest number of carries in his career as well. Sanders had a Pro Bowl campaign with Cowboys nemesis Philadelphia Eagles in 2022. The playmaker posted 259 rushes for 1,269 yards and 11 touchdowns while playing in all 17 matchups for Philly in 2022. Trading Cooper Rush would mean the Cowboys trust Trey Lance. The trade-off for the Cowboys in this potential deal is Lance would become the first line of defense behind Dak Prescott. Lance would be one play away from being inserted into action, and the quarterback did not look ready in preseason action. Yet, Sanders could emerge as an immediate starter for Dallas. Sanders is already behind Chuba Hubbard, and the Panthers used a high draft pick on rookie running back Jonathan Brooks. When the playmaker recovers from injury, Sanders is likely to drop even further down the Panthers' depth chart. The Cowboys could turn to Dalvin Cook sooner rather than later. For now, the Cowboys could turn to former Pro Bowler Dalvin Cook for potential answers with their rushing attack. Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott have underwhelmed with their opportunities through the first 2 games. Cook has started the season on the team's practice squad. The Cowboys' run game is a problem, and they know they need to get more out of it. ESPN's Dan Graziano detailed in a September 18th story titled, NFL Week 3 Latest Buzz, Predictions, Questions, Fantasy Tips. They like the way Dalvin Cook has looked since they signed him to the practice squad, and they haven't ruled out the possibility of activating him to the roster if they don't get more production out of the Ezekiel Elliott/Rico Dowdle tandem at some point. That move doesn't sound likely to happen this week, but if they struggle to run the ball against the Ravens on Sunday, don't be surprised if Cook ends up getting a look. Cowboys preparing to face Pro Bowler after free agency snub. Among the many issues for the Cowboys worth watching heading into Week 3 is the state of the running game, which has been a disappointment even in a win against the Browns, but especially in a blowout loss to the Saints. And facing off against the Ravens this week adds a special wrinkle, because for much of the offseason, one player who is repeatedly linked to the Cowboys will be on the field for Baltimore, future Hall of Famer Derrick Henry. When it was apparent that the Cowboys would not be bringing back Tony Pollard after last season, the hope around the team was that they'd be looking for a between-the-tackles bruiser, a job few filled better than Henry, who was heading to the free agent market. Henry has a house in Dallas. In 4 of the last 5 years, he led the league in carries, showing what a workhorse he can be. He was leaving Tennessee after 8 years with the Titans. His focus was on winning a Super Bowl. Indeed, all the stars seemed aligned for the Cowboys to make a run at him. But when free agency hit, crickets. Henry got 2 years and a modest $16 million from the Ravens. The Cowboys brought back Ezekiel Elliott for 1 year and $2 million. As David Moore wrote in the Dallas Morning News, citing organization sources, The Cowboys had no intent on spending money at the running back position. Cowboys Jerry Jones. That's not really connected. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, speaking on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas this week, shrugged off the fact that the Cowboys were so intricately linked to Henry in free agency. He said that such links never came from him or the team. There are a lot of good players that you are connected with, Jones said. When you've got movement, I'll bet you're connected with 90% of all the free agents that are out there. That's not really connected at all. That's a name. Jones had some praise for Henry, but said he was never seriously considered in Dallas. He's a heck of a running back, but you won't find anyone who will do a better job than the one we saw on Sunday, Alvin Kamara with the New Orleans Saints, Jones said. Have all the respect in the world for him. He is a top running back. We got other things we've got to get ready to do other than just regret or lament on whether or not we signed one of those players we're playing on Sunday. Derrick Henry off to slow start with Ravens. To be fair to Jones, while the Dallas run game has struggled, the Cowboys have gained just 170 yards on the ground, 25th in the NFL, and their average of 3.7 yards per attempt ranks 26th. Henry has not been great either, with 130 yards in 31 attempts in 2 games thus far. He does have 2 touchdowns. But he is wrong to suggest that the Cowboys-Henry connection is all a media construct. Henry himself indicated he'd like to play for the Cowboys and said on the Bustin' with the Boys podcast. Henry said earlier in the offseason, in an appearance on the Bustin' with the Boys podcast, that his priority is winning, but he is not looking to play for free either. I want to be somewhere that, whatever happens, gives me the best shot at winning the Super Bowl. The business side, there's a business side. It has to make sense. I'm not going to just accept anything at the same time because it is a long season and we put our bodies through a lot. But I definitely want to be on a roster that can go out there and put ourselves in position to win games and get in the playoffs and contend for a ring. Dallas Cowboys offseason was full of drama, and it looks like this is following the franchise into the regular season. Dallas placed veteran defensive tackle Jordan Phillips on injured reserve with an injured wrist. This is a normal transaction, and these types of moves means the player will miss at least 4 games. The problem is Phillips is claiming he is not injured. Cowboys DT Jordan Phillips said he is going on injured reserve, but there is nothing wrong with his wrist. All-City DLS Clarence Hill Jr. detailed in a September 18, 2024, message on X. He said his wrist is fine. It is what it is. He has to accept the decision of the organization. Phillips previously underwent wrist surgery to repair an injury. There are 2 potential possibilities when it comes to the truth of Phillips' wrist. One is that there is some discrepancy between how team doctors view Phillips' injury and the way the veteran feels. Another more troublesome option is the Cowboys are placing Phillips on IR in an attempt to open up a roster spot. The Cowboys used the open roster spot to poach Carlos Watkins off the Commanders' practice squad. Dallas used the spot created by Phillips' move to injured reserve to poach defensive tackle Carlos Watkins from the Washington Commanders' practice squad. If this was the case, why wouldn't Dallas simply release Phillips to create the spot permanently rather than using the injured reserve as a temporary solution? The Cowboys may be reluctant to move on from Phillips so quickly since the franchise just acquired the defender via a trade with the New York Giants in August. Dallas still owes New York a future draft pick as part of the deal for Phillips. Trade updates. With Jordan Phillips on 46-man for 2 games, the Cowboys give up their 6th-round pick in 26 to Giants and get NY's 7th-round pick in 26, ESPN's Todd Archer said on X on September 17. With Peyton Hendershot released by KC, Chiefs will keep 26's 7th-round pick since he was not on 53 for 5 games or 46 for 3.